The Titan-class warship Daeho floated silently in the void, its massive frame glowing with the reflection of distant stars. Captain Heijin walked along the bridge, his eyes scanning the holographic display of nearby systems. Beside him, Lieutenant Mina checked the ship's systems, making sure everything was running perfectly. The human fleet was small but powerful, and each ship relied on careful coordination and trust. The humans knew that the Galaxy Council had underestimated them for centuries, and they were ready to show their true strength. Admiral Minsuk's voice came over the intercom, calm but firm. All units, prepare for the approach. Remember, we are not just fighting for ourselves but for all the civilizations that have suffered under the Council's rule. Execute the plan precisely. The crew nodded silently, each member feeling the weight of the mission. Engineers checked the energy cores, making sure the Titan-class warship could handle the intense energy bursts required for battle. Soldiers lined up, their armor polished and weapons ready. They had trained for this moment, their drills repeated countless times until every movement became second nature. Heijin took a deep breath and looked out at the darkness beyond the hull. The human fleet was approaching the Council's territory, a place no human had dared to enter before. Sensors picked up the first signs of alien patrols, and alarms began to buzz quietly. Mina adjusted the shields, sending power to the strongest points to prepare for any unexpected attacks. The first Council scouts appeared on the radar. They were smaller ships, moving quickly and trying to gauge the human fleet's strength. Heijin studied their movements and realized they had no idea what they were facing. Humans had built Daeho with ingenuity that the Council could not predict. The ship's design was unique, a combination of advanced technology and creative tactics that would make even the most experienced alien commanders pause. "Fire the warning shots," Heijin ordered calmly. "Let them know we are here." Energy beams cut through the void, lighting up the darkness as the aliens scrambled. Their reactions were slow and uncoordinated, a sign that humans had caught them completely by surprise. The fleet responded with rapid-fire lasers and missile volleys, each shot calculated to disable rather than destroy. The goal was clear, to show that humans could strike decisively and with precision. Meanwhile, on the bridge, the crew worked in perfect synchronization. Mina adjusted the targeting systems, guiding the energy beams to the most vulnerable points on the alien scouts. Engineer Ji-hoon monitored the engines, pushing them to their limits while keeping them stable. Communications Officer Yuna kept track of incoming messages from the rest of the fleet, ensuring that no command went unnoticed. The alien ships tried to regroup, forming clusters and attempting to flank the human fleet. But Daeho was faster and smarter. Heijin's strategy relied on unpredictability and adaptation. He directed the ship to move in patterns the aliens could not anticipate. Each maneuver was precise, avoiding collisions and maintaining optimal firing angles. The human's ability to think creatively under pressure was something the Council had never seen before. As the first wave of scouts was neutralized, the bridge erupted in quiet cheers. The humans allowed themselves a brief moment of satisfaction, knowing they had sent a message that could not be ignored. But there was no time for celebration. The main Council fleet lay ahead, massive ships bristling with weapons and guarded by energy shields that could withstand conventional attacks. Heijin gathered his officers. "We move carefully now. Every shot, every maneuver must count. The Council has underestimated us, but we cannot underestimate them. Remember, our strength is not just our firepower but our ability to work together as one." The crew nodded, understanding the gravity of the words. They had trained for this unity, each member knowing their role and trusting others to perform theirs. In the vacuum of space, there was no room for hesitation or doubt. As Daeho and the accompanying fleet advanced, sensors detected the first signs of the Council's main fleet. Massive warships emerged from the shadows, their designs alien and imposing. Heijin felt a mix of tension and determination. The humans were outnumbered, but they had technology, creativity, and courage on their side. The first shots of the main battle rang out, and the void filled with brilliant flashes of energy. The Titan-class warship responded with controlled precision, disabling multiple enemy ships in the initial salvo. Aliens reacted with confusion, unable to comprehend the humans' tactics. Their centuries of dominance had taught them predictable strategies, and humans broke every expectation. On board Daiho, the crew moved like a single organism. Engineers rerouted power to reinforce shields, while soldiers aimed at weak points identified by sensors. Heijin directed the battle with calm authority, his eyes always scanning for new opportunities. Lieutenant Mina adjusted the energy patterns to exploit weaknesses, while Communications Officer Yuna coordinated with other ships in the fleet to maintain formation and efficiency. The Council's commanders were shocked. They had never faced an enemy that combined ingenuity, courage, and discipline in such a way. Each human maneuver seemed impossible to predict, each strike more effective than the last. Confusion spread through the Council ranks as they realized that humans were not just another species to dominate. They were a force that could challenge the very structure of galactic power. As the battle intensified, Heijin made a daring decision. He ordered a direct strike on one of the Council's command ships, a move that carried high risk but promised high reward. The crew executed flawlessly, guided by trust and training. Daiho's energy beams pierced the command ship's defenses, sending a shockwave through the surrounding fleet. Aliens watched in disbelief as their leader's ship faltered. The first phase of the attack was complete, and Daiho moved back to assess the damage and prepare for the next wave. The humans had proven that their Titan-class warship was not just a machine but a symbol of human ingenuity and courage. The Council could not ignore them, and the galaxy had begun to take notice. Captain Heijin allowed himself a brief moment of pride. He looked around at his crew, each one focused, determined, and unwavering. They had done what many thought impossible. The battle had just begun, but humanity had already made its mark. As the Daiho continued through the darkness, the stars reflecting off its hull, the humans felt a sense of destiny. They were not merely participating in a war, they were changing the galaxy's understanding of what humans could do. The Council would remember this day, and every civilization that had suffered under alien rule would have hope. The Titan-class warship moved forward, silent yet unstoppable, carrying the hopes of humanity and the promise of a new era in the galaxy. Every crew member knew the journey ahead would be dangerous, but they also knew that their courage and unity would guide them. The humans were ready to face whatever the Council could throw at them, and they would do it as one. The human fleet advanced steadily, the massive Titan-class warship Daiho leading the formation. Captain Heijin watched the radar carefully while Lieutenant Mina worked beside him, adjusting energy shields and weapon outputs. The Galaxy Council's forces were not expecting such boldness from humans, and that gave the fleet a small but important advantage. Every member of the crew knew that the first true clash with the Council's main forces would decide much of the battle. Engineer Ji-hoon monitored the engines, pushing them to optimal efficiency. The ship hummed with energy, alive and ready. Communications Officer Yuna kept track of all fleet signals, coordinating with smaller human ships that flanked Daiho from both sides. Each ship had its role, and the humans had practiced this formation countless times. They trusted one another completely. Captain, sensors show multiple Council warships moving to intercept us, Mina reported. They are preparing energy shields and heavy weapons. Heijin nodded. Keep calm. We fight smart, not just with strength. Prepare for evasive maneuvers and precise strikes. We hit them where it hurts. His voice was calm but firm, inspiring confidence in the crew. The first volley from the Council ships arrived suddenly, a barrage of energy bolts that lit up the darkness. Daiho moved smoothly, dodging the majority while returning fire with targeted beams. The smaller human ships took advantage of the confusion, striking weak points in the Council vessel's armor. The aliens were skilled in combat, but they were not used to enemies that thought so differently from them. Heijin directed the fleet carefully, his eyes never leaving the tactical display. Each maneuver was calculated, a combination of instinct and strategy. The Council had relied on their centuries of experience, but humans had creativity and courage on their side. Every action seemed unpredictable, keeping the aliens off balance. Lieutenant Mina focused on targeting systems, guiding the ship's main cannons to the most vulnerable points on the enemy ships. She adjusted quickly, firing sequences that disrupted their shields. Engineer Ji-hoon worked tirelessly to reroute power, ensuring that Daeho's weapons could fire continuously without overloading. Communications officer Yuna coordinated with every vessel in the fleet, keeping their movements synchronized like a single organism. As the battle intensified, Captain Hae-jin noticed an opportunity. The Council's command ship was exposed on one side, distracted by the smaller human vessels. Hae-jin made a bold decision. "Prepare for a direct strike on their flagship," he ordered. "We need to show them that humans are not to be underestimated." The crew moved into position, their movements precise and confident. Daeho's engines pushed the ship forward, weaving through the enemy fleet. Energy beams cut through the void, disabling the alien ships that tried to block the path. The smaller human vessels followed, attacking from multiple angles. The Council forces were overwhelmed, unable to adjust quickly enough to the humans' unpredictable tactics. The flagship took several hits, its energy shields flickering as humans pressed the attack. Aliens on the ship panicked, shouting commands that were ignored by their crew in the chaos. They had not faced an enemy that combined intelligence, bravery, and innovation like this before. Their centuries of dominance were no preparation for humans. On the bridge of Daeho, Hae-jin and his officers worked in perfect harmony. Mina directed the firing sequences, while Ji-hoon managed the engines and shields. Yuna coordinated the smaller ships, ensuring that every attack was focused and effective. Soldiers stood ready at their stations, prepared to respond to any threat. Every member of the crew knew their role and performed it flawlessly. The humans' attack forced the Council to retreat several warships, but the main fleet was still formidable. Hae-jin realized that they had to maintain momentum. They could not give the aliens time to recover or reorganize. He ordered Daeho to continue its assault, focusing on the flagship and the surrounding support vessels. As Daeho drew closer, the alien command crew watched in disbelief. Humans moved with precision, striking again and again without hesitation. Their weapons, shields, and tactics were all coordinated, demonstrating a level of discipline and creativity that the Council had never seen. The aliens could not comprehend it, their attempts to counter the humans failing repeatedly. The first wave of Council ships fell, and the remaining vessels began to scatter. Hae-jin knew this was their chance to press further. He directed the fleet toward the flagship's weak points, coordinating attacks with the smaller vessels. Energy beams tore through shields, disabling engines and weapons systems. The aliens scrambled, trying to defend their leader, but human ingenuity kept them one step ahead. In the chaos, crew members aboard Daeho showed their courage. Soldiers manned defense stations, intercepting incoming attacks. Engineers rerouted power to critical systems, ensuring the ship could continue firing at maximum capacity. Officers coordinated maneuvers, adapting to the rapidly changing battle situation. Every action reinforced the humans' advantage, leaving the Council unable to mount an effective counterattack. The flagship began to falter, its energy shields weakening, engines failing, and weapons systems offline. Hae-jin ordered a final strike to disable it completely. The attack was precise and devastating, leaving the ship disabled in the void. The Council's command structure was shaken, and their fleet began to retreat in disorder. As the immediate threat subsided, the human fleet regrouped. Daeho remained at the forefront, its crew alert and ready. Hae-jin allowed a moment of relief, knowing that they had made a powerful statement. Humanity was no longer a passive species in the galaxy. They had shown that humans could fight intelligently, boldly, and effectively against even the most powerful forces. Mina checked the systems, confirming that Daeho had sustained minimal damage despite the heavy engagement. Ji-hoon ran diagnostics, ensuring that all engines and weapons were functioning optimally. Yuna maintained communications with the smaller ships, coordinating recovery and repair. The crew worked together seamlessly, reinforcing the bond that made them a formidable unit. Hae-jin looked at the vast expanse of space ahead. The Council would not forget this day. Humans had shown strength, courage, and ingenuity in the face of overwhelming odds. The galaxy had begun to understand that humans were not to be underestimated, and their presence in this conflict would change everything. The Titan-class warship continued its journey through the Council's territory, leading the fleet with confidence. Every crew member felt a sense of pride and determination. They had taken the first major step in a larger conflict, proving that humans could challenge the Council and emerge victorious. The battle was far from over, but humanity had already begun to reshape the galaxy's understanding of power and courage. Captain Heijin allowed himself a brief moment to reflect. The crew had performed exceptionally, each member contributing to a complex and successful operation. They had shown that humans, though seemingly ordinary, possessed qualities that could turn the tide of war. Creativity, courage, and unity. The galaxy would soon take notice, and humans would be remembered not as prey, but as a force to be reckoned with. With Daiho leading the way, the human fleet advanced further into enemy territory. Each movement was calculated, each decision deliberate. They were prepared for whatever challenges awaited them, knowing that their ingenuity and teamwork would carry them through. The Titan-class warship symbolized more than strength. It represented the human spirit, fearless and unstoppable in the vast darkness of space. The human fleet moved deeper into the heart of the Galaxy Council's territory, the massive Titan-class warship Daiho leading the way. Captain Heijin stood on the bridge, watching the holographic display with steady eyes. Lieutenant Mina worked beside him, guiding energy shields and tracking enemy movements. The Council's fleet was large and powerful, but humans were clever, disciplined, and unpredictable. That combination gave them an edge no alien had ever seen before. Engineer Ji-hoon monitored the engines carefully. He adjusted energy flows, keeping the ship's systems at peak efficiency. Soldiers manned weapon stations, ready for any sudden attacks. Communications officer Yuna coordinated with other human vessels, ensuring that their movements were perfectly synchronized. Each member of the crew understood their role, and the trust between them was unshakable. The first signs of the Council's main fleet appeared on the sensors. Massive warships emerged from the shadows, bristling with weapons and energy shields. Their size and numbers were intimidating, but the humans did not waver. Heijin gave orders with calm authority, his voice steady despite the tension. Focus fire on their weak points. Keep moving and stay unpredictable. We fight smart, not just with strength. The Council ships responded with a barrage of energy bolts, and the void of space was filled with brilliant flashes. Daiho moved smoothly, dodging attacks while returning fire with precision. The smaller human ships struck from multiple angles, targeting exposed sections of the alien vessels. The Council's strategy, built over centuries, was no match for the humans' combination of creativity, courage, and coordination. Heijin noticed a gap in the enemy formation and made a decision. Mina, guide us through that corridor. Ji-hoon, increase engine output just enough to slip past their heavy weapons range. Yuna, keep the fleet coordinated and ready for my signal. The crew moved with precision, executing the plan flawlessly. The humans' ability to act as one was something the Council could not comprehend. As they advanced, Daiho and the smaller ships disabled several key Council vessels. The aliens were shocked at how humans attacked with intelligence and daring rather than predictable tactics. Energy beams sliced through shields, engines were disabled, and weapon systems went offline. Every strike demonstrated humans' creativity and willingness to take calculated risks. On the bridge, Heijin observed the Council's flagship. It was enormous and heavily armed, but it had a flaw. It was distracted by the smaller human vessels harassing the surrounding fleet. He made a bold decision. We target the flagship directly. It will shake their command and morale. All units follow my lead. Strike precisely and quickly. The crew nodded, understanding the importance of the maneuver. Daiho moved forward, weaving between enemy fire. Energy beams shot from its cannons, striking critical points on the flagship's hull. Smaller human ships followed, attacking weak spots and distracting the Council's defenses. The aliens scrambled to respond, but every move was anticipated by the humans. Their tactics were unconventional and effective, leaving the Council unable to adapt. Inside the Council's flagship, the alien commanders were panicked. They had never seen a species combine courage, intelligence, and adaptability in such a way. Their centuries of dominance meant nothing against humans' unexpected strategies. Orders were shouted but ignored as confusion spread among the alien crews. Meanwhile, aboard Deho, the human crew worked in perfect unison. Mina adjusted targeting systems for maximum efficiency, Ji-hoon rerouted energy to stabilize engines and shields, and Yuna coordinated with the smaller ships. Soldiers fired weapons, intercepted incoming attacks, and maintained readiness for any emergency. Every member of the crew contributed to the precision of the operation. The flagship faltered under the concentrated assault. The shields flickered, weapons went offline, and engines began to fail. Heijin ordered the final strike. The human crew fired in coordinated bursts, disabling the ship completely. The Council's command was shaken, and their fleet began to retreat in confusion. Humans had demonstrated that they could fight intelligently and decisively against overwhelming odds. The human fleet regrouped around Deho, checking systems and preparing for any remaining threats. Heijin allowed a brief moment of satisfaction. The first major confrontation with the Council had been a success, and humanity had shown its strength. The galaxy could no longer see humans as weak or insignificant. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most formidable enemies. Engineer Ji-hoon confirmed that Deho's systems were intact and ready for the next engagement. Lieutenant Mina adjusted the shields and weapons for optimal performance. Communications Officer Yuna maintained contact with the smaller vessels, ensuring that they remained coordinated and ready. Soldiers stayed at their stations, alert for any sign of a counterattack. Heijin looked out at the stars, thinking about the battles ahead. The Council would not forget this day, and humans had begun to change the galaxy's understanding of power and strategy. They were no longer just another species to be ignored. They were a force that could challenge the strongest civilizations. The Titan-class warship continued its advance through the Council's territory, leading the human fleet with confidence. Each crew member felt pride and determination. They had faced overwhelming odds and shown that humans could win through skill, bravery, and cooperation. The battle was far from over, but humanity had already made its mark. Captain Heijin allowed himself a moment of reflection. The crew had performed exceptionally, each member contributing to the operation's success. They had proven that humans, though ordinary in appearance, possessed qualities that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Creativity, courage, and unity. The Council had underestimated them, and now the galaxy was beginning to see humanity in a new light. With Deho leading the way, the human fleet advanced further, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Each decision, each movement was deliberate and precise. They knew that their ingenuity, teamwork, and courage would guide them through the darkness of space. The Titan-class warship was not just a symbol of strength. It represented the human spirit, fearless and unstoppable against the vast forces of the galaxy. The humans were ready for the next stage of the battle, confident that they could continue to surprise and overwhelm their enemies. The human fleet moved closer to the heart of the Galaxy Council's territory, with the Titan-class warship Deho at the front. Captain Heijin watched the sensors carefully, noticing the Council's remaining forces preparing for a final stand. Lieutenant Mina adjusted the shields and weapon systems, while Engineer Ji-hoon ensured the engines were operating at maximum efficiency. Communications Officer Yuna coordinated the smaller human ships, keeping the fleet perfectly organized. Heijin knew that the Council's command center was ahead. It was heavily defended, but the humans had proven they could overcome impossible odds. "Prepare for the final push," he said calmly. "Every strike, every movement must be precise. We show the Council that humans cannot be stopped." The Council's warships fired in a concentrated barrage, trying to repel the humans. Energy beams lit up the darkness, creating a dazzling display in space. Deho moved smoothly, dodging most of the attacks while returning fire with deadly accuracy. Smaller human ships attacked from multiple directions, hitting weak points in the enemy defenses. The Council's forces were strong, but they could not predict human tactics. As the battle continued, Heijin spotted a vulnerable section in the Council's command network. He turned to Mina. "Guide us to the weak point. We hit there and disable their central command. Ji-hoon, increase energy to the forward cannons. Yuna, coordinate with all ships to focus fire." The crew acted without hesitation. Daeho advanced, weaving between enemy fire. Energy beams struck the command center directly, disrupting shields and disabling weapon systems. Smaller human ships followed, attacking the surrounding fleet to prevent reinforcements from reaching the command center. The aliens struggled to respond, their centuries of training failing against humans' unpredictable strategies. Inside Daeho, the crew moved like a single organism. Soldiers fired their weapons, engineers monitored systems, and officers coordinated attacks. Each member knew their role, and their trust in one another made the fleet efficient and unstoppable. Heijin's calm leadership inspired confidence, and every crew member felt the weight of their mission but also the determination to succeed. The Council's command ship began to falter. Its shields were weakening, weapons offline, and engines failing. Heijin seized the moment. "Prepare the final strike. We disable their command completely. Focus everything on that target." The crew executed the order with precision, firing a coordinated salvo that shattered the ship's defenses and left it incapacitated. The Council's fleet began to retreat in disarray. Humans had proven that they could fight intelligently, boldly, and decisively. The alien commanders were shocked and confused. They had never faced a species that combined courage, intelligence, and teamwork in such a way. Every expectation they had was broken, and their fleet could no longer mount a coordinated defense. On the bridge of Daeho, Heijin allowed a moment of satisfaction but remained vigilant. "We must secure the area and ensure no counterattack can harm the liberated systems. Keep moving forward and maintain formation." The crew responded immediately, adjusting shields, weapons, and positioning to anticipate any remaining threats. Engineer Ji-hoon ran diagnostics to ensure that Daeho's engines and weapons were fully operational. Lieutenant Mina monitored energy levels and adjusted power distribution for optimal performance. Communications Officer Yuna maintained contact with all human ships, keeping them coordinated and ready for further instructions. Soldiers remained at their stations, ready to repel any surprise attacks. The human fleet moved deeper into the Council's territory, now facing fewer and less organized enemy ships. Daeho led with confidence, and the crew's morale was high. They had overcome impossible odds and demonstrated that humans could fight strategically and courageously against even the strongest forces in the galaxy. Heijin looked at the stars outside the hull, thinking about the future. The Council would not forget this day, and humanity had proven that they were a force to be reckoned with. Every crew member felt pride in their achievement and determination to continue the mission. They had not just won a battle, they had begun to change the galaxy's perception of humans. The Titan-class warship continued its advance, with the human fleet following in perfect formation. Each movement was deliberate, each strike calculated. The crew knew that their unity, ingenuity, and courage would carry them through any challenges ahead. The battle had been intense, but humanity had shown its strength and determination. Captain Heijin reflected on the crew's performance. Soldiers, engineers, officers, and communicators had all contributed to the success. They had proven that humans, ordinary in appearance, could accomplish extraordinary feats through teamwork, intelligence, and bravery. The Council had underestimated them, and now the galaxy had begun to see humanity as a powerful and capable species. As Daeho moved forward, the human fleet remained ready for any surprises. Every crew member understood that their actions today would have lasting consequences. They were not only fighting for victory but also for recognition, respect, and the future of humanity in the galaxy. The Titan-class warship represented more than just power. It embodied human spirit, courage, and the ability to overcome the impossible. The humans advanced steadily, confident in their skill, unity, and determination. The Council's remaining forces were disorganized and weakened, unable to stop the relentless human fleet. Daeho led with precision, its weapons and shields ready for any threat. The humans were proving that they were a force no one could ignore, a species capable of changing the course of the galaxy through intelligence, bravery, and teamwork. The journey was far from over, but humanity had already made its mark and would continue to challenge the galaxy at every step. The human fleet moved steadily through the remnants of the Galaxy Council's territory, with the Titan-class warship Daiho at the forefront. Captain Heijin watched the scanners carefully, noting the scattered enemy forces trying to regroup. Lieutenant Mina adjusted the shields and weapons systems, ensuring they were ready for any last attacks. Engineer Ji-hoon monitored the engines, keeping Daiho at full efficiency, while Communications Officer Yuna coordinated the fleet's movements, maintaining perfect formation. Heijin knew that the Council's power had been broken, but they could not take any chances. "Stay alert," he said calmly. "We continue to move forward. Any remaining Council ships must be neutralized. Every strike must be precise." The remaining Council vessels were fewer and scattered, but some still tried to attack. Energy beams filled space as Daiho and the smaller human ships responded with controlled and accurate fire. The humans moved as one, each ship supporting the others. Soldiers operated weapons, engineers rerouted energy for optimal performance, and officers coordinated attacks. Every action was deliberate, every move calculated. The Council's remaining commanders were in disbelief. Humans had defeated their strongest forces and destroyed their command structures. Their centuries of dominance could not prepare them for human creativity, courage, and teamwork. Each human attack was unexpected and effective, leaving the aliens unable to respond coherently. Captain Heijin identified the last group of Council ships attempting to flee. "Mina, focus our weapons on them. Ji-hoon, increase engine output for pursuit. Yuna, coordinate all ships to cut off escape routes." The crew executed the plan with precision. Daiho advanced, energy beams striking critical points, disabling shields and weapon systems. The smaller human ships flanked the enemy, preventing escape and overwhelming the Council vessels. The Council ships were destroyed one by one, unable to resist the coordinated human attack. The aliens watched in shock, realizing they had been outsmarted and outmaneuvered at every turn. Humans had shown that strength alone was not enough. Intelligence, creativity, and unity could turn the tide of any battle. On board Daiho, the crew remained vigilant. Soldiers checked for any threats, engineers monitored systems, and officers directed the fleet's movements. Heijin maintained a calm and steady presence, ensuring that the humans did not become overconfident. The battle was ending, but their mission was not yet complete. The humans needed to secure the liberated systems and prevent any counterattack. The fleet moved deeper into the territory, disabling remaining defensive structures and ensuring no Council forces could regroup. Every member of the crew worked together, their trust in one another and their discipline making them unstoppable. The humans had proven that courage and intelligence, combined with unity, could overcome even the most powerful enemies in the galaxy. Engineer Ji-hoon confirmed that all systems were operating at full capacity, ready for any emergency. Lieutenant Mina maintained the shields and weapons at peak performance. Communications Officer Yuna kept all human ships coordinated, ensuring that the fleet moved as a single unit. Soldiers remained alert, prepared to respond to any unexpected attacks. Captain Heijin reflected on the journey. Humans had faced impossible odds, but they had triumphed through teamwork, courage, and ingenuity. The Titan-class warship Daiho had become a symbol of human power and determination, proving that humans were a force the galaxy could not ignore. The Council would remember this day, and so would every civilization that had suffered under their rule. The human fleet continued to patrol the newly liberated systems, establishing a presence and ensuring peace. Each crew member felt pride and satisfaction in their achievement. They had shown that humans could face overwhelming odds and emerge victorious through intelligence, bravery, and cooperation. The galaxy had begun to respect humanity, recognizing that they were no longer passive observers but active and capable participants in galactic affairs. Heijin looked at the stars outside the hull, thinking about the future. Humanity had proven that it could not be ignored. Their ingenuity, courage, and teamwork had changed the course of the galaxy. Every crew member felt the significance of their actions and the responsibility that came with their victory. They had not only fought for themselves but for all civilizations that had been oppressed by the Council. The Titan-class warship led the human fleet with confidence, a symbol of human strength and determination. The crew moved forward with precision, ready for any challenges that might arise. They had faced the greatest threats and proven that humans could rise to any occasion. The galaxy had seen the power of human courage, intelligence, and unity, and there was no turning back. Captain Heijin allowed himself a brief moment of pride. Every crew member had contributed to the success of the mission. Soldiers, engineers, officers, and communicators had worked together flawlessly. Humans, though ordinary in appearance, had shown extraordinary capabilities. The Council had underestimated them, and the galaxy had learned a vital lesson. Humans were a force to be reckoned with. As Daiho continued its patrol, the human fleet remained vigilant. Every movement was deliberate, every decision calculated. They were prepared for whatever the future might bring. The Titan-class warship represented more than just strength. It embodied the human spirit, courage, and the ability to overcome impossible odds. Humans had changed the balance of power in the galaxy and proved that they could face any challenge with intelligence, unity, and bravery. The humans continued their advance, confident and ready. The Council's remaining forces were scattered and weak, unable to stop the relentless human fleet. Daiho led with precision, its weapons and shields prepared for any threat. Humanity had demonstrated that it was no longer a species to be ignored. They had shown that with courage, intelligence, and unity, they could overcome even the most powerful